Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking about a movie called The Scribbler. And this is one of those movies that I just happen to I hear about by accident, and it has the star of it is Katie Cassidy from Arrow. And that would intrigue me enough to just sort of check it out a little bit. And I decided to watch it. And it's also interesting that this movie is also based on a comic book. The writer of the movie is actually the person that wrote the comic, but apparently it's not a really well-known one. So let's just kind of get right into it. Katie Cassidy was kind of what drew to me this movie initially, and then I was looking over reading about it a little on Wikipedia just to see what people had said about it, and I saw that Eliza Dushku and Michelle Trachtenberg, or however the heck you say her name, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, were also in this movie, so that kind of sold me on it. Apparently, there's also some ex-porn star named Sasha Grey who pops up as a minor character. I think I've heard the name, but I really, beyond that, have no idea who this lady is. And so let's kind of get right into it. And this is one of those movies where you can't really talk about the plot too awful much, just because if you do, you're really going to start spoiling stuff. And also, the plot to this movie is just intensely bizarre. But the bare bones of it is that Katie Cassidy plays this lady named Suki, who, despite being enormously Caucasian, has a Japanese name. She spent quite a long time in a mental institution and has moved into this apartment building that's sort of a halfway house for mental patients, and suddenly the women there start turning up dead. And it's like, okay, what's going on? And this is a movie that's very good on the atmosphere. I mean, this is really the strongest thing that I can say for this movie, is that it feels like you are really seeing what's going on from the perspective of somebody with some serious mental problems. And I have to give Katie Cassidy a lot of credit. She has a much wider range as an actress than I had previously given her credit for. Here she really bounces between just being flat out crazy, from being, pretty about reasonably together, to just falling to pieces, to being angry. I mean, she bounces all over the place, but she sells it. She sells it every single time. Looking at this, I'm like, man, I really wish that they'd kind of give Laurel over on Arrow a little bit more meaty stuff to work with, because Katie Cassidy can deliver. And boy, can she deliver if what she's asked to do is flip the hell out. I mean, we've been seeing Laurel over on Arrow occasionally get these moments where she gets really pissed off and goes to town. That's got nothing on Katie Cassidy in this movie. I mean, she is just totally going balls out crazy, and it's really fun to watch. This movie, though, and this kind of brings me to my big complaint about this movie. This movie feels like it's trying to say some important stuff. It feels like it's trying to make some serious comments on the way people with mental issues are treated in society. It feels like it's trying to say some serious things about identity and about conformity and about the way society treats people who don't really conform to quote-unquote normal. But it feels like every time it starts to take a step in that direction, the movie pauses and then goes like, "Yeah, let's just be crazy again." And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are some very interesting ideas floating around in the background. And again, the atmosphere in this movie is very well done. You see this the way of Suki's mental issues, the just really creepy as hell vibe at the apartment complex, and the action side of things is also well done. But again, as I said, every time it sort of seems like they're taking a step towards saying something really worthy, it just kind of goes back and decides to, like, okay, enough of that. Let's go back and show you some crazy shit. And again, the movie's really good at showing you crazy shit, and it's certainly a fun ride to go on. I mean, this is a strange movie. It's a movie that is obviously trying to say something, you know, profound. It just, again, it just always seems to get distracted. It's like the movie has ADHD. Every time it's just about to kind of get to something deep and meaningful, it's like, nah, let's do some crazy stuff. And I know this is probably this is not. I know this is an unfair criticism to level at the movie, but one of the major male characters in the movie looks almost exactly like my friend Rob. I swear, I was sitting there watching this movie on my computer, and the character Hogan is the character's name. He looks like my friend Rob. We see him for the first time. I'm like, what the hell? What is Rob doing in this movie? Of course, obviously, this is an actor who just happens to look a lot like my friend. But I'm like, that happened to me again and again. I'm like, God, this guy looks like Rob. So, again, it's nothing that the movie or the actor did wrong. It's just somebody in this movie bears a really, really amazing resemblance to somebody I know in real life, and that just constantly kept throwing me for a loop. So, again, I can't really talk too awful much about the plot without really just spoiling the movie, and I don't want to do that. Because even though it does fall short of really putting out any kind of genuinely meaningful commentary, and that's what the movie is really trying to do. It is trying to make a statement. It's also trying to have a lot of fun. And, that's really what I can say about this movie. It does kind of fall short of anything deep, quote unquote, but it's a lot of fun. This is definitely a movie that is fun to just sit there and watch. This is kind of like a movie where you and your friends are hanging out one night and you want to watch something that's a little out there. Something you can enjoy, something a little beyond outside the mainstream fare, and something that you're going to have fun with. And I would say this is a really good movie that you could do that with. It is, despite its flaws, a fun movie. It's a very enjoyable movie. There is tremendous atmosphere. Katie Cassidy shows off some really amazing range as an actress. And even if the ideas that they're trying to sort of push don't fully form, they are at least presented. And you have to sort of stop and think just a little bit occasionally as you watch this movie. Like, well, that's not an unreasonable point. So, at the end of the day, The Scribbler is a flawed movie, but it's a fun movie. And like I said, if you want to have a little bit of fun sometime, then there are certainly far worse things you can do with your time than watch this movie. So, with that said, guys, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.